Greetings, my paranormal patrons. This is the Monstrous Feminine Patreon, a space where horrible humans talk a little more about horror. My name is Zeba, and I'm joined by my Coven,
Mila,
Louisa,
and Tyia.
And this is our bonus episode for our Horror Games Month. Thank you so much to our May Queen pledges on Patreon for supporting us.
This episode, we're going to be talking about the 2018 film Truth or Dare, directed by Jeff Wadlow. In this film, philanthropist Olivia is convinced to skip volunteering to build houses and instead go on vacation to Mexico with her friends to celebrate their last spring break in college. In Mexico, Olivia meets a young man called Carter who brings them to an abandoned church and convinces them to play Truth or Dare. Things become heated when it comes out that Olivia has a crush on her best friend Marky's boyfriend, Lucas. When they arrive home, the group of young adults are horrified when they realize the game of Truth or Dare is real, and if they fail to play or fulfill their dare, they are killed.
Hey girlies, we're gonna play a Truth or Dare. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
I'll go first.
Okay, Louisa, I dare you to let us DM your crush.
Absolutely not.
Okay, Louisa's dead. That's out.
There are ones in here like genuinely to into friendship. Like some of the suggestions are: who do you trust the least in this room? Who's the least talented? Who's most likely to hook up with your partner? Who's the fakest?
God.
Oh my gosh, there's a warning on here that says non-confrontational Libra trigger warning.
I feel attacked.
In the scenario of, like, we're in a Truth or Dare, like, type of movie, who do we trust the least?
Mila. Because you said in, what? We were talking about Saw or something and, like, moral dilemmas. You said you'd kill people you know over 10 strangers. And in this scenario, it very much, like, she curses the entire world so that she does not have to kill her best friend.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
Disagree with you in Saw, but in this movie I would have been like, simply just die. Because also, like, the death isn't even that bad. Like, you're possessed when it happens, so, like, do you even have any consciousness of it? It didn't seem that bad.
But you are right that I would kill you.
Yeah, which is why I now trust you the least.
I would never betray your trust. I wouldn't go behind your back to kill you. It would be an open dialogue.
Oh, thanks, babe. You'll stab me from the front. Lovely.
I feel like I trust Tyia the least in this scenario because your sense of self-preservation, similarly to Mila's, is such that I don't think I would be prioritized. Do you know what I mean? In the dares, they all, unless they were actively possessed, could have helped each other. Like the drunk girl on the roof, like everybody got together to help. You're not going to lose out on nothing. I, of course, trust that you would help. But in a situation where there's like trickery going on and the demon's trying to like get you to choose between one thing or another thing, especially because I've expressed often that I would leave a situation like this early and often, that you would betray me, but only because maybe you would save yourself or others who are stronger candidates for survival till the end anyway. Like, I'm not going to be the final girl.
I don't think I trust anyone the least. I think I just trust you a medium level the same amount. I sort of rate our like group dynamic in this sort of situation, at least. I think we'd kind of just get through it.
I think I'd choose Zeba, not as retaliation. Just because you are like the most of card. Like Louisa is very structured, very much the planner. Mila is Mila, and I feel like I can somewhat predict what Mila will do, but I have no idea what you would do in like 90% of circumstances.
That's true. You are the most unpredictable, yeah. The confession that Lucy had to say that she fancied Marky's boyfriend, Lucas. The fact that they had sex, and then the fact that during it, he had to say, "I don't love you." I was like, this is truly wild.
That was crazy.
Honestly, the demon kind of popped off there.
I was like, you are doing a lot with your inside knowledge. That is really strategic and fun for me, the consumer.
But I felt so betrayed. I was like, but you're having sex. And I was like, yeah, people have sex when they don't love someone all the time.
That's so funny, Louisa. No.
I've definitely had sex when I don't love someone, so I don't know where that came from. Where I was like just really wanting to believe in them. Marky sounded like big freaking trash. Also, like, she cheated on Lucas constantly and expected her to keep it a secret when they were all friends. Red flag number 1. Number 2, her best friend didn't even feel comfortable enough with her to tell her that her dad assaulted her.
I think that she just didn't want to, because she saw obviously like Marky was distraught and doesn't want to
No, I would have sang like a canary. Fuck you, fuck your dad.
I don't think I would have told, but not for anybody's sake. Like, it wouldn't be for the dad's sake or my friend's sake that I like didn't want to hurt them. I think I just like wouldn't have told because I was like overwhelmed with the situation. Like, I feel like the ramifications of telling are like you lose your friend, you lose whatever, like everybody looks at you weird. Like the thing about the truths, I'm like, to them it was unlivable. Like they couldn't imagine living their lives with the truth out there. I don't have any truths like that, but I could kind of see it. I wouldn't have lied, but I think in a scenario where there wasn't a demon after me, I might have just kept my mouth shut.
I don't know. I feel like when she said it, it was like the focus was on like the guilt that she might have led her dad to suicide. And that to me was really weak premise. Like I could have understood it more if they did go the like, you know, survivors don't want to talk about assault angle and there was a power dynamic and her dad it was her dad her friend's dad, so she didn't want to like lose her friend. That was stronger for me as a point of like not wanting to confess it than that like I led your dad to suicide. Like that was weird to me. And also kind of like towing the line on victim blaming a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But I don't think it's an unfair thing to struggle with. I don't think just because somebody's done something like atrocious to you, if they take their life and it happening to you as like a sequence leading up to it, I don't think feeling guilt is necessarily suggesting that it was her fault. I just think it was like a natural thing for her to sort of grapple with.
How long was she grappling? When did her father die? I got the sense that it was like years ago and that she'd been sitting on this for a while.
I thought it was like 2 years or something, a year, 2 years.
It's a lot to sit with.
Much to sit with, but I don't know. I don't know. I thought maybe their bond wasn't that great as friends. I understand feeling guilty and not wanting to tell your friend and being afraid of that, but I also thought that their friendship seemed shallow and that they wouldn't handle it, and therefore I'm not rooting for them as friends.
I love that Declan from Degrassi was randomly in this movie. It was just like a bunch of people from teen shows put together in one movie. You got Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars, Tyler Posey from Teen Wolf, but also like the fact that I feel like the entire movie, like Olivia and Lucas's dynamic is like a will they, won't they, and I'm like, but the won't they is that her best friend is dating him, regardless of the fact that she's cheating. That's a bit weird to like be sitting around watching your friend's boyfriend being like, but you belong with me, I would treat you better, boy. Like that is some weird behavior. And in her mind, like even though she didn't tell him until she was dared to, or told the truth or dared, I don't remember which one it was, that Marky had been cheating on him. I'm like, in her mind, I think she was truly holding on to all of that as like fodder to split them up when she felt like she was ready to make her move. And that to me is very weird. Like, surely you can find another man in that town to date that is not Marky's boyfriend if she's finding so many men to cheat on him with. Pick one of them. Don't share dick with your friend. That's weird. It's not even like he was that special. Like, this man there was nothing about him. It was like, okay, he's cute because he's Tyler Posey, but like everything else is like, you could put any man in this role and he would be this man. There was nothing special about him. He's not like remarkably sweet.
Maybe it's about like coveting what your friend has. I'm thinking too deeply into it. I feel like maybe not in this movie, maybe that's giving it too much credit, but I feel like in a lot of scenarios where people like have a thing for their friend's partner, a lot of it is about like either that belief that like you could do better, like the partner could do better, like hateration towards your friend more than it is feelings towards the partner. Maybe, I don't know.
It wasn't just like she casually found him attractive. It was like, this is really weird for you to sit here and like fester feelings this intensely for your friend's boyfriend.
I was gonna ask about which of the dares you'd least want to do.
I wouldn't set someone on fire. I would die. If someone was like, set this random lady on fire, like obviously I have spoken about how like I'd kill a stranger over my friends, but that's over my friends. If we're talking kill a stranger over my own life, maybe in a Saw scenario I might, because that's different. But like we're just talking about some random lady in a bodega who didn't do anything wrong, probably like grabbing something for her kids.
The degree of the dares were so drastically different also. Like shooting the cop who was his dad, like that was a very anxiety inducing scene.
I have thoughts about that whole thing. This movie did not do well for queer rep.
And then they acted like, oh, it was a favor. Like, it really actually did him well.
I think they made his dad okay with it to, like, show that it wasn't that bad, but I was like, actually, that was a terrible situation, and given a different, like, situation, he could have gone very poorly with his father, and I was like, I don't think that's good fodder for a horror film, to be honest. I think they should have left that untouched. And, like, Simon Abrams for Roger Ebert's website was, like, saying that the poor kid's queerness is almost exclusively defined by his fear of coming out to his father. And that's truly it. And there's, like, separately to that, there's also this, like, one line about, like, how did he not even know your ringtone's Beyonce? And I was like, this is trash.
I thought that the vodka thing, like, I would do it, but it was my nightmare. It was my nightmare where she's walking around the roof, the perimeter of the roof, and she has to finish the bottle of vodka.
I'm a very not fun person to play truth or dare with. I pick truth every time. Like, there's few things that I will truly be angry about coming out.
I think that my issue would be other people's truths, right? They'd be like, oh, tell what happened with so-and-so. I think that's where I would get caught up, but I would still do it.
The demon would know. The demon would pick something that you remember.
Somebody explained to me the lore of this curse a little bit because it was so fucking involved and confusing.
It was honestly one of those films where it's like, this is a shallow, stupid horror. I don't need a lot of lore and backstory. And then for some reason, they decided to give us, like, an excessive, elaborate backstory. I was like, we simply could have just had a haunted game of truth or dare.
It didn't need that much. I was like, I would have honestly believed this game was killing them for much less.
Okay, so what happened for the listeners, the little recap, being that there was a nun, there was like a convent, and then there was an abusive priest, and the girls enacted, the nuns, the young women, I think they were children actually, or I don't know, enacted a demon to play a game of hide and seek with them, which actually was real and ended up killing him. But then the demon kept going, and they had to cut off the cursor's tongue to trap the demon. And so, but then when this one guy, Carter, broke the thing, the tongue escaped, and then the demon was out, and it jumped into their game of truth or dare. First of all, why were the nuns not originally playing truth or dare? Like, the original lore was hide and seek, so I didn't really understand why this movie wasn't hide and seek. Second of all, I didn't understand why I had to be in Mexico and, like, some abandoned convent.
Spring break.
I don't know. I feel like they really went through bigger hoops to try to make it believable than they had to. And I would have just taken this as like a Final Destination truth or dare game and called it a day.
No, someone in the writings room was like, they're going to say that there's no backstory. But they didn't give a fuck about why they were in love with each other and have been for years and what would motivate that. They're like, they have to know where the curse comes from.
I don't know. I feel like they did Mexico because, like, they're like, ooh, slightly exotic. You mentioned Final Destination. Simon Abrams for Roger Ebert. Well, first of all reviewers were, like, talking about how this is Final Destination-esque. On Roger Ebert, they also said that it was, like, Saw mixed with Final Destination. I guess because, like, the choice to, like, break your own hand.
I don't know, maybe she was just a pushover, but she was very quick to submit to this and be like, you have to break my hand. Like, I just think there should have been a little bit more hesitation to have one's hand broken.
What I'm learning from this is that Mila has a huge issue with authority.
Yeah.
Even if they're on loose footing, the fact that her friend might die, she did not know that for certain. It was still, like, a little bit tentative, and she was just like, break my hand, you have to. She's very, like, self-sacrificial in quite a annoying way.
In another review for The Guardian, Benjamin Lee wrote that overall, in a comment on, like, the representation of women, they said Olivia is a brunette, so is therefore earnest and pure. Her best friend Marky is blonde and is therefore rebellious and spends her time cheating on her boyfriend.
I'm so glad you brought up the misrepresentation of blondes on screen is something I'm very passionate about. Thank you. Bring that to our attention.
Wait, girl, go into it.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I'm persuaded.
I don't think it's an unfair point, but it's certainly not the hill I would die on.
It was embedded in another thing. I think he was just, like, throwing in the blonde-brunette dynamic, but there was some ... But I read it as if it wasn't ... So maybe poor Benjamin.
I think they made their characters unbelievable as friends. I'm not convinced these two people hang out with each other.
I don't know why. I think they made it like Lucy, like you said, Mila is really... No, not Lucy. Her name's Olivia. Olivia is really self-sacrificial. Is willing to, like, die for her friend. But then, as we've discussed, it really didn't seem like she must have cared about her friend that much. And also, they had issues.
I think she was only self-sacrificial because she felt guilty because she didn't actually like her friend and she wanted her boyfriend. So to like overcompensate, she was going above and beyond.
Okay.
She builds houses for Habitat and Humanity and she's so nice and like everyone loves Olivia. I was like, this is really hammered in. Like I would hate this girl. I think her character was just likable because they tried so hard to make her likable that she didn't seem like a real person. I'm supposed to be sympathetic to the fact that she wants her best friend's boyfriend because the best friend is cheating on the boyfriend. That's a him and her problem. That's not a you get him just because she's a cheater.
I just thought Marquis seemed like a bad friend as well, and I was just rooting for them to just burn it all down and fuck her boyfriend, to be honest.
Why was she so attached to him?
I don't know, but I thought it was hilarious that his truth was to tell her that he didn't love her. Like, that was
10
really
out of 10.
peak.
Can't fault that bit.
When they were having sex, they definitely didn't have to, right? Like,
Yeah, they were dared.
not to completion.
What would constitute sex in this case? This demon, what are his thoughts on the matter?
Yeah.
Just the tip, soaking, penetrative, do you need to finish? Can you come on her face? These are all questions that I think were not clear.
Whoa.
Right, mutual masturbation in the same room. Because the I love you thing came up in the middle and she got up and they left and didn't finish.
Well, I don't know why she couldn't gather that he didn't love her if he didn't leave his girlfriend to be with her.
Obviously, this demon had very heteronormative ideas of what sex is, because if it was a lesbian, he could have just fingered her.
Thank you for listening to The Monstrous Feminine. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, SoundCloud, and Spotify at The Monstrous Feminine Podcast and on Twitter at The MonFemPod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on TikTok at The Monstrous Feminine Pod for podcast clips and more fun. Brooms up, witches out.